Coming up on this program, we show you how to get connected. Find out how to choose an internet service provider. Discover the newest form of communication, electronic mail.
Ways down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, and holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing. If you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a
I have to hit that button. I always sing the song along to myself, and then I realize I'm at the end, and I'm like, fuck, I'm supposed to be hitting that button, but I'm not. Hi, Nikki. You're storm chasing today. Please be careful. As we all know, Ryan Hall, y'all, is live. We know that hurts me deep inside because I still harbor resentment from 2 years ago when I was moderated on his channel. Wow, what a day. Everybody popping out of the woodwork today. Dwight's here. Grim's here. Grim, I was thinking about you the other day. Lindsay's here. What a lovely day, guys. Vicky's here, of course. My lovely Vicky. Guys, I'm so glad that you're here. We have 2 shows today. The first one, this. And then the second one, later. I don't know when yet, though. Oh, Adam's here too. New guy. We love it. We love it. Well, you know, I always think good thoughts about people, so you can blush. Wahoo, Bill's here, Carol's here too. Sorry I'm a bit late. My daughter was on the phone with me. You gotta do what you gotta do. You know, I think that this is not red. First of all, I'm wearing a green shirt that doesn't work with my green screen. So I had to put something over top of it. Bill $20. She wanted $20. So I made her talk for it for a little bit at least, because she wanted $20. And you know, that's a lot. I've tried to explain to her she likes Starbucks, and I'm like, baby, you don't have a job, honey. I have a job and I don't drink Starbucks. You gotta change your tune here. And then she was like, well, the Starbucks in this part of town is closing soon, so I'm really trying to go there a lot before the end. The end? My darling, it's gonna be fine. I know. She's very lucky because she is my only child. And, I spoil her. I do. I don't want her to have a job on purpose. That's my choice because there's so much time for her to work. I think all of us, I am a Timmy's lady, by the way. I'm drinking Tim Hortons coffee in my badass mug that's beat up now. But she doesn't. I make my own coffee at home. But I will be honest, it took me about 27 years to figure that out. That's not a joke. Yeah, I don't want her to have a job. We all work. I think we would all agree that there's a lot of time in your life to work. And I don't think teenage years is the best. If you have money from a parent. I didn't have a lot of money from my parents when I was younger, so I had to get a job. But I also worked at a bank, which is a pretty badass job. So, anyways, whatever. Regardless, now look at me watching court in my office with you guys on a Sunday. Hard to explain. She does understand. She said, "Do you have a show?" I said, "Yes, I do." "Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to quickly ask you." She's 16, but she's in the grade 11. So next year she'll be in grade 12. and she'll graduate when she's 17. So, and again, she don't need to work. She'll have lots of time to work. I don't want to jinx it. I'm knocking on some wood here, but we are making our way through high school with no babies. Aw, thanks, Brooklyn. Appreciate that. I had a really nice birthday. Hold on, let me just travel by flu powder over here to the case that we're gonna watch today. Oh, I think I'll be fine being an empty nester. I'd rather have her back, to be honest. But okay, where is it? We already did the Pomeranki. Oh, here it is. Horetsky. Also, she's my only child, but she's not an only child. She has
6002
two
DM
siblings.
Ash.
So she's much better rounded. Anyways, I apologize in advance for the audio in this courtroom. I am not in charge of it. I wish I was. I really wish I was. Bad Scooter. Oh, 23 and got married. Well, I had my daughter when I was 20. So 23 is pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, come on, mouse. Come on, mouse. Oh, have I been muted this whole time? No, I haven't been. Oh, good. I just scrolled down. I was like, oh, I'm going to have to repeat all of that. I don't remember half of what I say. Thank God I wasn't muted. Okay, let's go.
Lynn Horetsky versus Jared Wesley Horetsky. This is the plaintiff's motion regarding legal custody and support. Plaintiff is present, defendant is present, pro se. Would you both please raise your right hand?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. Thank you. Ms. Horetsky, what are you requesting and why are you requesting it, please?
So I'm here in regards to the motion that I filed for child support reevaluation and custody. I would like that addressed today, please.
Okay. Let's begin with child support. What are you requesting?
May I read what I wrote, just so I
Sure.
don't
This
forget?
is
what
your
I wrote?
opportunity to speak to the
Okay.
court.
We've been here several times since our divorce in 2017. Nothing has changed, not one thing. He will not communicate with me still. In fact, it's gotten worse. The defendant has not communicated with me since August of 2024. I have tried to communicate with him regarding the kids, anywhere from medical issues, school issues, and most importantly, general parenting issues. He doesn't seem to care about medical issues or school issues. He doesn't go to doctor's appointments or parent-teacher conferences at school. The last time we were here was because he would not agree to help pay for our daughter's orthodontics, and he did not show up for the ruling. Our son was struggling in school, and it was addressed in a doctor's appointment. I communicated this to the defendant and received no response. Our son was also not following school phone policy. I was not aware of this until I got a call from the principal that he received his third phone infraction.
Okay, I have a problem with this though, because, and it's not quite the same, but my daughter goes to a very strict phone. Is it both of her schools? I think her middle school had an extremely strict phone policy, which I personally don't approve of. I think that phones and schools should be trying to teach kids how to use phones and how to navigate using them in the real world. Locking them away is not really feasible. But, you know, if you're that lackadaisical in terms of how many ideas you have in terms of how you could integrate that into your classroom, then I guess go ahead and lock them away, you lazy ass teachers. But besides the point, now we know how I feel about that. But what I also have a problem with is when the school allows your kid to do something so many times and then you weren't told, so you can't do anything about it. So this harkens back to when my daughter was in kindergarten. When she was in kindergarten, she was 4 years old because she's a December baby. And I got a phone call from her kindergarten teacher who she did not like. And who wasn't a very good kindergarten teacher. And she told me that she had been placed on bathroom restriction. And now I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is bathroom restriction for a 4-year-old? And I asked her, and she said, well, that is because in the last week, I have been trying to get her, when she goes to the bathroom, there's screaming, yelling, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what? By herself? Oh, Mac's here to be amused. By herself, I said, well, first of all, if you had told me about this, I would have been reinforcing a proper bathroom behavior at home. But you're telling me that you sent her down to the bathroom by herself and she's in there yelling and screaming? And she was like, well, no, not by herself. I'm like, well, who are you sending her to the bathroom with? Well, 5 girls. I said, you sent 5 fucking 5-year-olds to the bathroom by themselves and expected them to be quiet? It doesn't sound to me like you were setting them up for success, Mrs. Teacher. And then I said, I think it's time for me to set up a twice weekly phone call between me, you, and the principal to keep up on this. And things settled down after that. She did not like that. She did not like that. I was like, oh yeah. Tammy, thank you. 10 months support. Amazing. Oh, and also, Mac, 8 months. Appreciate that. Anyways, and the reality of that situation was that was a teacher problem. She should have talked with us right away about it. Like, there's ways to deal with that. She wasn't a very good teacher. You know what I'm saying? But, honestly, I actually said to her, I was like, I don't think you could send 5 women to the bathroom and expect them to be quiet if they knew each other. I'm being serious. So it just wasn't setting her up for success, you know? And with kids, why are we, we need to help them overcome obstacles. We need to grow with them, but we don't need to be putting them in situations that are just going to fuck them over. Right? I mean, I was just baffled. Absolutely baffled. And can a female go to the bathroom alone? I mean, at the school? So the thing is, and here's the thing, the classroom has a bathroom. No, that's not a Catholic school. It's a Canadian public school. Now, granted, this was, 10 years ago. So things were a little bit different then, but, or more than 10 years ago, crazy enough. But basically that teacher, I tried to get back in the classroom to help her. I was like, well, can I help in the classroom? I had a flexible schedule at the time. And she said, no parents allowed in the classroom. And first of all, red flags going off. And that's partly because I grew up going to what was called a family school or a fine arts school. It was a special school that was not in a school district and where your parents were not only expected but actually required to spend a full day in a classroom every month. So what that meant is with all the kids in the class, you're going to have parents throughout the school all the time. And that was the whole point of the school. I understand that not all parents can do that and not all situations allow for that. But at that point in time, that was the whole point of that school, was to have a family school where parents were involved on a daily basis. And we didn't teach, or we didn't have any last names. We didn't use letter grades. So the teachers were called by their first names. We were never given letter grades. It was a unique school. It worked well for me after going to Montessori. I switched over to that and it worked well for me until I got into a mainstream school. And the first day I walked in and I was like, hey, John, what's up? And he was like, what? Don't call me that. I'm Mr. So-and-so. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I had never known that you didn't call your teachers by their last names. I thought that was an American movie thing. I didn't think that was like everywhere in Canada. Anyways, but on the other hand, these parents should be using App Close. It should be abundantly clear for her to just be able to pull up the app and say, look it, I reached out to him on XYZ dates and he didn't get back to me.
And it's going to be taken away for the remainder of the school year. I found out in that phone conversation that the defendant was called regarding the second phone infraction, and he had to go to the school to retrieve the phone. This information was not relayed to me by the defendant at all. In closing, okay, I got divorced 8 years ago on May 17th, 2017. I have approached the front of the court and your honor several times. I've emailed the front of the court several times. Unfortunately, all of the things he has been told to do haven't been done. Today, I'm asking for the court to make a decision regarding the motion. I have been complying with all the court's decisions, but the defendant doesn't seem to think that he must do the same because there are no consequences. Overall, I'm just drained. I have been trying to co-parent effectively to no avail, and it's just not fair to the kids. I want them to be kids. I don't want them to have to deal with adult issues or situations. That's why I'm asking for full custody and review of child support, including shared expenses of car insurance and extracurricular and or school-related activities. I am also asking that communication be addressed as well. I
All right.
appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
You're welcome. Can you explain why you're requesting a child support evaluation? I read the motion, but I just want to hear.
Yeah, he has a new job now.
When do you believe he obtained new employment?
Probably a year ago.
A year ago.
Maybe, I'm not really sure.
Anything else regarding either motion?
Just basically the communication. Our oldest son, he's gonna be turning 16 next week. I do want to address insurance being split 50-50.
I have an older child than her. That's nuts to me. Maybe I just look young because I have my gray hairs covered up today with my hat and my hood. Lindsay, this is Huron County, Michigan. Huron County, Michigan. Michigan.
You put in your motion, I am open to no child support being paid if all extracurricular school-related expenses and any other agreed upon expenses are split equally.
Correct.
Can you still stand by that?
Yes. As long as we do it 50-50.
Okay. All right, Mr. Bransky, your response.
What's he gonna say, you guys? What's he gonna say? He has a little note there. He's written something on a wee note. Hi, Lizette. Also, she's dumb. She should just get the child support and pay the expenses because he's not gonna. If he's not agreeing to help her and even speak with her, then it's not gonna work proper. And the judge is not gonna make him pay for the kids' insurance. Like, these are not needs. These are wants, unfortunately.
Well, in the start of 2017, I had to pay child support of $240 a month because it was based off of my overtime. I asked the friend of the court, Ashley, and you, Your Honor, if we could go up to 40 hours, and all three was denied. In 2020, I lost my job at Thumb Tool and started working at C-Star. In the June of 2020, Ashley ran a stop sign, putting all 3 kids in 3 different hospitals, and she was in the 4th. I had to quit Z-Star to take care of my kids because both boys couldn't walk. I had to take them to follow-up appointments at Hurley Medical and to view of them. I did not take her to court for any of that. In that summer, I bought my oldest.
Why would you take her to court for a terrible accident?
Because it's medical expense. I had to quit my job. I was still paying her $240 a month when I had no job. I didn't do an income review or nothing.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
So in 2020, I bought my son a truck because he turned 16. Because he didn't feel safe driving in anything else. So in 2021, I suggested to Ashley that she could.
Okay, here's a fucking shocker. Don't get your 16-year-old child a truck. You're not allowed to drive here alone until you're at minimum like 17 and a half, almost 18. And that's if you start the first day you turn 16. We have what's called a graduated licensing program that takes approximately 5 years to go from a learner's license all the way to a fully licensed driver. And there are ways to reduce that amount of time, but you can't skip it. So you have to go through the graduated licensing program. When you have an L or a learner's license, you are not allowed to drive on your own, ever. Ever. You must have a licensed driver in the car with you that is over the age of 25. And that lasts for at least 1 year. After that 1 year period, if you go and you do your full exam, where you do an actual test in a car, you might pass to your N level, which is novice or new driver. And as a new driver, you're allowed to drive by yourself, but you are not allowed to have any passengers that are not also licensed drivers or family members. So you can't be driving around teenagers with teenage friends in the car. If you're caught doing this, you lose your license for years. So it's not something to be fucked with. Like, they're very serious about these rules. There's also zero alcohol usage allowed at all. So, once you get your N, you have to have that for a minimum of 2 years before you can then apply and take another driving test to get your full license. But your N is good for 5 years. So most people sort of leave it depending on what type of life they're in. Anyways, point being, there's no world here where a 16-year-old is got their own car and driving it by themselves. It's never happening. And it shouldn't. In Alberta, children have, you can have 14, have a farm license, the same thing that y'all are talking about. The reality is that most children don't have the wherewithal to be driving at 16 proper. They just don't. Definitely not by themselves. So, anyways. I had to get an L and an N. I had those licenses as well. So, I mean, when I was 16, I got my L, and then I had it for a long time, like maybe 2 or 3 years. And then I got my N when I became a mom.
Paid for the plate for the truck because my oldest son was driving her around because she lost her license for a year, and her response was, "It's not my truck." And she helped very little with the insurance. So in 2022, we had court over extracurricular activities, and it was granted that I had to pay what she wanted, which was not in my divorce papers. Also in 2022, I did not have my kids on Father's Day weekend because she planted vacation time in front of the court granted her the vacation. So I knew she made more money and I was tired of Ashley getting favored. So I did an income review and she was suggested to pay $190 a month, but you lowered it to 50 and looked at her and said, that's the best you can do. So with my son turning 16 next week, I have a 2011 F-150 sitting in my driveway that is not being drove. So I made him a deal that he could work and pay me a little bit of money and he could save the rest of his money the rest of the summer. So he thought about it for a while and he agreed that that's what we would do. But his mother said, no, he cannot drive that truck. So now he's going out this weekend and buying a car to put in her name. And the reason why Preston stayed at her house most of the summer is because he worked at Bird Creek Golf Course, which was literally 2 miles from her house. My parents live 1 mile from her. My grandma lives 2 miles from her. And my oldest son, which is 20, lived at her house. And he also works at the golf course. And he made quite a bit of money last year working. There's so many businesses out here that complain that kids don't want to work. And he worked his butt off all summer and now she wants to use this against me. And she has dates written in there on how my daughter was at her house. The first date is in July 13th, correct?
Which day are you referring to again?
July 13th.
In the motion you're talking about?
Yes, it's in the paperwork.
July 13th, that's listed here.
That is my daughter's birthday. And in the court papers, that is her weekend to have her. It was her time with the child's birthday. So she just uses these kids against me any way she can. So my daughter and I got into going to Owendale Speedway. And 2 weeks before that, she wanted to go on her birthday because it was kids' night. She asked me to take her. So I said, well, you're with your mother, so we have to talk to her. And Carly said, yeah, right, that's not gonna happen. So it was like playing a guessing game with Ashley on what time I could pick Carly up to take her to the races. And it got to the point of, you just tell my daughter that I'm not taking her because you're being this way.
These are special oranges. They're called Sumo oranges. They are a cross between like 3 different kinds of oranges. And they are expensive. I didn't realize exactly how expensive it was going to be. You know, with fruit, you never know at the grocery store. But I think this orange is probably like $4. A $4 orange. Never again. But they're very easy to peel, and you can see they're sort of unique shaped, and they have no seeds. But it smells amazing. Anyways, I just wanted to show you guys this because now I think I can write it off. Right? Now that we've talked about it on the show. I'm pretty sure. Tax-wise, we're good.
It's just, I'm to the point, there is no co-parenting with her. So what's the point of talking to her? Just like this braces issues. I told her numerous times I could not afford it. Why can't we wait 2 years to when I can financially afford this? But she refused to listen to me, brought me to court twice.
Well, you can't wait for
because it's in my
braces.
divorce papers and you granted it. Now, and then you garnish my wages. I even talked to the lady that called me for a payment plan, and I asked her what would happen if we waited 2 years. Carly never even seen that dentist for her to tell me what happened if we waited 2 years or a year. She was never there. The day she showed up is the day they put the braces on. And she called me back after that first appointment and said there's nothing they could do because she had an order to put the braces on.
Court didn't order the braces to be put on. The court ordered that you were to pay half the expense.
Well, it was granted,
The order to pay half the expense was granted.
yes.
The court didn't say, go get the braces.
Okay, my apology, I ordered that.
Well, I want to make that clear. I mean, the court doesn't go that far.
I don't understand why at 12 years old, she could not wait a year or two to get braces. Her teeth did not affect her every day-to-day life. I understand they were crooked. I have crooked teeth also. She never once complained about her teeth hurting her.
That's not the
How do you
point,
respond?
sir. Come on now. We all know that braces take better when you do them young. Okay? And I don't take kindly to you being like, oh, let's just wait 2 years and then put the braces on. No. Fucking figure it out. Figure it out.
To the lack of communication since Ms. Horetsky alleges that since August of 2024, that was the last communication you had with her.
What's the point of talking to her? She just comes here and get whatever she wants.
That's not always true, sir.
Yes, it is.
Um,
Every case. There's cases that I tried to talk to you, you cut me off. Just like the instance the first time she brought me here. I tried to tell you I couldn't afford it, and you cut me off and told me to figure it out.
Well, when it comes to prior orders, if there's an order that's agreed to, the court doesn't look at whether you have money or not. If there's an order entered, the parties agree to it, the court enforces the order. That's all the court does. It's not a matter of, well, I agreed to this in 2017.
I never disagreed not to pay
Okay,
the,
you interrupted the court, sir. But, for instance, in 2017, the order says the parties shall be equally responsible for all school-related expenses, including extracurricular activities and sports-related expenses.
that is
For
not
not being-
2017, that's 16.
16.
That's again, you're not going off my divorce papers.
I'm reading off the judgment, but regardless, at the end of the day, there's nothing here that says, for instance, based upon income of parties. It doesn't say that. Now,
I'm gonna eat this orange in members only, by the way. That's right. Then there's no question about the tax write-off ability. Who am I kidding? I don't write off anything on my taxes. I wish I did. I wish I knew how. Balance, balance.
when it comes to the 17 order, May 17, you have joint legal custody, correct?
Correct.
And with joint legal custody, that means you agree to make decisions together in the best interest of your children.
I never once said I would not pay for braces,
Okay, well,
and I was not disagreeing that she did not need them.
okay, but if you both disagree, if you disagree with something like that, you can bring it to the court's attention and the court can
I
decide.
tried to. You cut me off.
You're cutting me off, sir. I'm being respectful. I'm not saying you're being disrespectful. I can see the frustration. But if you're not communicating with each other, what's the court to do? If it's an issue regarding the discipline at school for an alleged phone incident or anything like that, if you're not communicating with each other, how is that working out for your children?
She was notified the first time. I wasn't notified. You understand? Do you see how this works? She just sits there and
Oh,
points.
I see how this works. I see how this works. I do. Did you get a new job, sir?
Yes, I did.
Congratulations. When did you start?
I don't recall the actual date, but it was,
6 months ago?
oh,
8?
it's getting close to a year.
Okay. Have you notified the friend of the court of that job?
I know I did not notify them, but they know. I mean, you're garnishing my wages for braces,
Right.
so how do they not know?
Well, I don't see the friend of the court file. I'm not allowed to see the friend of the court file. But Any change of address or employment must be reported to the friend of the court, but clearly they obviously know. All right, this is what the court's going to do. Regarding the child support evaluation, there is a change in circumstance. Father has changed employment. So the court will order a friend of the court investigation relative to support only. As to legal custody in this matter, father acknowledges that in August 2024, he stopped communicating with mother. And there's an issue regarding medical decisions, school decisions, general parenting issues. Court finds that there's a change in circumstance regarding that as well. Parties share joint legal custody. With father's lack of responding, because he admits it since August of 2024, and I can understand the frustration though. There's no communication. If there's a medical issue that arises at last second and mom reaches out to dad, God forbid the child gets injured, and mom reaches out to dad and says, hey, look, we've got to get treatment for the child, and if dad's not responding, they technically can't provide medical treatment to the child because you have to have authority to do so. This has been ongoing for a long time, since the judgment of divorce has been entered. Court finds based upon that there's clearly a change in circumstance since the entry of the last custody order. These conditions surrounding custody of the child, whichever could have a significant effect on the child's well-being, have materially changed. Father, again, has not had communication since August of 2024. The request is regarding legal custody. There is no, as far as the court's concerned, there's an established custodial environment with both parents. Regardless of that, there is no change in request for custodial time. As a result, the court is going to apply the preponderance.
Is it the Vadvarka standard, Judge? Which standard? It's Vadvarka in Michigan, which is the standard with which to change it. Though she's not asking for any custodial time change, but she is asking for a change in from joint managing to sole managing conservator, it sounds like. And it sounds like he's going to grant it because of the dad saying that he didn't talk to her since August.
This is the evidence standard. And though the court doesn't have all the factors involved, I mean, I don't question both parents loving and caring for their children and the capacity to provide that. But when it comes to the communication aspect of this, which is a serious component relative to that, there's been a complete breakdown, and the communication aspect clearly favors mother. The parties have the capacity and disposition to provide the children with love, affection, and guidance, as well as food, clothing, or other medical care. No issues that the court is aware of relative to the care in each respective home. But the significant factor for the court to consider is the inability of the parties to communicate when it is offered. As a result, the court is going to order in this case, beside the friend of the court investigation relative to parenting time, I am awarding sole legal custody to the mother of the remaining children.
So I'm losing my kids over this.
No, you're not losing your kids. You still have the physical aspect of parenting time, but when it comes to the decision-making regarding medical, education, religion, because you're not communicating with mother.
She does not communicate with me all the time either.
Sir, I've made my decision. I've asked for you.
See, here we go, favoring her again. All because her mother worked for you. There's so much conflict of interest.
What? Oh my God. Oh, thank God I got this. What? Say it again, bro. Say it again. Contempt of court on its way. If that was the case, you bring that up beforehand. You don't wait until the end.
She does not communicate with me all the time either.
Sir, I've made my decision. I've asked for you to
See, here we go, favoring her again, all because her mother worked for you. There's so much conflict of interest. It's ridiculous.
Far from it, sir.
No, it's not.
Well, you can allege it. The court's made its finding. That'll be all.
So what I gotta do? Get a lawyer to change this courthouse?
You can file any motion you think is appropriate, sir. Off the record, feel free to go.
Who is sucking whose dick
Tony
here?
J. Hockmuth.
I thought this was longer. Hi, MB. I guess it's just rolled over into these next people. Let's just see if we've seen them yet or not. But here's the thing. He might have a valid point, Adam, but it's not the way to bring it up. And it sounds to me like he actually already asked for the judge to recuse himself. The judge and the ethics board would have looked at it, and if they've decided that it's okay, then it is. Like, there are people that are supposed to be, you know. Well, this just happened on Friday, Carol. Or Thursday, I think. Thursday or Friday.
16-6034DS. This show cause hearing for Mr. Hockmuth's alleged failure to appear.
Hawkmuth.
I believe that was ordered on March 10.
Yeah, don't argue with the judge unless you're on YouTube. And you can pause them.
Mr. Holwick or Ms. Schultz? Schultz.
I blame Mitch too. Look at them. Look at that's Mitch right there. Hope your workout is going good, MB. Peloton baby. Oh, in my dreams. In my dreams.
That's okay.
We were last before the court. Mr. Hockmuth did not appear for the scheduled motion hearing. And so the court had asked for a show cause to have him before the court today. At the time of the initial hearing, with the order that entered on March 10th, 2025, the court had ordered with regard to the minor child E, that she shall attend school every day that school is in session unless excused due to illness, as evidenced by a doctor's note. And on an interim basis, neither party was to leave the minor child alone without a responsible adult being present. The matter was otherwise preserved.
Both parties, please raise your right hands.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll begin with Mr. Hockmuth. Sir, please state your name for the record.
Tony Hockmuth.
Mr. Hockmuth, there was a previous hearing scheduled in this matter, and it was scheduled for March 7th. Did you appear?
No, sir.
Why not, sir?
I forgot about it.
Okay. And as a result, we didn't have the hearing, but the court did hear some information from mother. And as a result, on that day, the court entered an interim order regarding, and this is what Ms. Schultz stated, that the minor child may attend, as the child attends school. If the child is missing from school, there has to be a doctor's slip. And the court also ordered that neither party can leave the child alone without a responsible adult present.
I didn't get that.
Pardon me?
I got the letter.
The order?
Mhm.
Okay. So, other than forgetting to appear, it's alleged that you left the child alone.
Not after I got that letter. She's been staying with the grandparents.
But regardless of when you received, oh, okay, so you're saying that after,
Yes, because I was told by CPS that they questioned her and they see no reason why she couldn't be there home alone.
well, that's not the court order. We consider the court orders only.
And I got the letter and that's when I got a hold of my parents. And she's been staying there on my roof now.
We saw this case last week, actually. We already covered it. He didn't show up. Mom said, this is mom. She said that the kid wasn't going to school. There was all this allegations. And Brooklyn, you know, it's not the truth. All dads are not stupid. They're not. There are amazing dads out there. I've seen many of them. And we don't see many of them because they step up, they do what needs to be done, they do it promptly, and they never have to come before a court like this. It takes two to tango in these situations. I firmly believe that there is often aggravating circumstances between people that have been married and then have to co-parent going forward. It's difficult. It can be extremely difficult. But it doesn't mean that they're stupid or bad, you know? And all these kids deserve a dad who is able to be engaged in their lives and wants to spend time with them. I gotta say, in this case, I believe this child is 16 years old. 15 years old, maybe. Much older than I personally think. I mean, every kid is different. I don't remember the exact age, but it was not a minor like child, like infant, you know? And that's great, Adam. That is awesome. Dad is the best job. I mean, honestly, it's very difficult. But what my whole point is that we see the worst. Unfortunately, we see the worst of the worst because of what we watch. You know, if we were watching, like, I don't know if there's even a channel for it or what it would be called, but like parenting situations that are perfect, you know, we would be confirmation biased to the other side. But we don't. We watch court. And so we're seeing a lot, you know? Yeah, it's a challenge for sure, but I'm proud of each and every person that parents to the best of their ability. Sometimes recognizing that you've hit your limit, hit your ability is the most important part, and asking for help. It does take a village. And I am glad that we are here as a village together to help each other through things. Sometimes it's hard. Some days are so hard. Some days your kid wants $20 for Starbucks and you're like, why, bro? Why? But that's a joke. That was a bit of a joke. But anyways, I think, but I've said this before and I'll say it again, these children will remember. So if you are being obstinate, if you are not allowing your child to see the other parent, if you are being subversive in the way that you speak about the other parent, they're going to grow up one day and they're going to know. And they don't take kindly to it. She won't drink Timmy's. There's a whole subset of Starbucks people around here. And then there's, but she doesn't even drink coffee. This is the worst part. She's drinking pink drink. She said, do you know what, Mom? In America, they sell just the pink drinks in the bottles. I was like, oh, really? She said, maybe on your next trip you could get some. I was like, maybe.
On the 17th of this month started his week. And I had gone to his house to check on her like I have been previously since he's been on second shift, because she has been alone and he knew that I was going to check on her. And at 7 o'clock at night, she was there by herself. So I took her with me back to my house. Well, actually I apologize. I took her with me to get her lunch for her field trip the next day. And then I took her back to my home and made dinner. To which then he at 8:42 had messaged saying that he was home. So I brought her back. The next day, we had her field trip, and we didn't get home from her field trip until 4:45. Nobody was at the house, so I kept her with me. She thought that he was going to be staying after. I apologize. So I had messaged him at 6:48, telling him that if he was going to be working late, that she could just stay the night so that she didn't have to be woken up to be brought back for school the next morning. To which he replied that he wasn't working over, and so I took her back to his house at 10:15, and I stayed until he got home so that she was not alone. And then I apologize.
All right, I'm gonna have to find a dupe recipe and make the pink drink myself.
On the 19th, I had then went to check on her again.
Or maybe I should just get a job at
and she
Starbucks
was
and learn.
alone. So I took her back.
Sunday at this time.
Yes. So I took her back to my house, we make dinner. And again, before he returned home from work, we went back to his house, and I remained in my vehicle again until he returned home. Once he returned home, I left because he was there and she was no longer alone. And then starting that next Thursday, or that Thursday, following that day is when he left her with his parents. So Thursday and Friday, and if he worked the weekend, she was with his parents as well that weekend.
So you're alleging the last day the child was left alone was March 19th?
Yes.
Okay. The order that was entered in this case dated March 10. When do you recall you receiving it? Did you receive it the very same day, or was it sent to you in the mail
It was mailed the 11th and I received it on the 13th.
on the 13th?
Grim, that's actually, oh, Jesus Christ, I clicked something else. That's actually having a huge impact for me. We do have Nestle Strawberry Quick, I think, or we have some sort of strawberry liquid, I'm sure, at Walmart. And the Canadians are indeed boycotting U.S. brands. Because I work for an American company here. I work for 2 American companies, I guess. My hours got cut hugely in the next month, down to almost nothing because of how impactful the Buy Canadian movement has been, to be honest with you. So I'm not exactly, I don't like how everybody's doing it. It doesn't make sense. My paycheck is in Canadian dollars from a Canadian subsidiary of a US company, so it doesn't make sense to me. But people, you know, they want to be able to do something, and it's pretty easy to do that, so whatever. Anyways, hopefully everything sorts itself out soon. That would be the best. But until then, we've already realized that that means I just get to spend more time here with you guys.
How do you respond to that, sir?
I mean, I don't have a problem with her going there and picking Emily up on my weeks. She's got dinner there every day. There's food in the house, and I see no reason why she can't be there while I'm at work. I mean, I am working, supporting the house. There's no issues. And Emily told me her mom fears that someone's gonna just walk in the house and kidnap her. That's not gonna happen. There's never been no problem since I've been on second shift.
When did you begin second shift, sir?
I'd have been close to December, and it wasn't by choice.
Oh, I understand. What's the current status regarding legal physical starting point?
An order entered on January 24th of 2019, granting joint legal and joint physical custody. And then the most recent order regarding custodial time entered on July 13th of 2022. And the parties are granted equal custodial time on a week-to-week basis. Exchanges occur on Mondays during the school year, and they're also granted alternate holidays for the friends of work.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, we'll address first the motion to show cause for failing to appear in this matter. I'll accept Father's comments that he forgot about it. Unfortunately, Mother was here, and obviously it's a waste of her time. And as a result, the court's going to order a $100 fine. That'll have to be paid by. Can you get it in by April 11?
I think they're today.
Today? Okay.
I make my own copy.
We address that matter. Now we are talking about allegations of a violation of the order that Mr. Hochmuth wasn't here on. But let's begin with the motion regarding custody and or parenting time. Ms. Gage, what is the proper cause for change in circumstance you believe that the court should be looking at relative to changing custody or parenting?
Prior to the order,
Wait, ma'am. Wait, we have to talk
You
about
had
juice
been-
for a second, okay? I like ruby red grapefruit juice. I really like Valencia orange juice, but I don't have much. I mean, honestly, orange juice is so expensive these days, and it goes down so quick. I don't buy it very often, but if I'm gonna buy orange juice, I will buy Valencia orange juice. Oh my gosh, none of that like tart aftertaste. It's just so sweet.
that being pulled from school to babysit or not sent to school in order to babysit. She had also been allowed to just skip school. She is, prior to this last order, she was being left alone all night until he would return home from work, usually about 11:15 unless he worked over. I was told specifically that I am not allowed to lock the door when I leave, when I would leave her. After I would ensure that she was safe. I was specifically told I'm not allowed to lock his door because if she's not up, he can't get in. So I fear for her safety because she's a minor child who has no phone. She previously had a phone, but was not responsible enough with it, so is no longer allowed to have it.
She's 11, correct?
Yes.
Go ahead.
11. Okay. 11. It's a bit late to be putting yourself to bed entirely, but why doesn't he have a key? Get a keypad. I mean, I'm confused. I'm confused. Also, I have to grab something. I'll be right back.
What Mr. Hochmuth does in his personal life is for him. But my concern is also the amount of women, the number of women that are continuously in and out of the house.
I literally got up and then I heard her speak and I'm like, damn, bro, this is the good shit. Okay, I'll sit back down. How many women at once? How many? That sounds like, yeah, tea.
But my concern is also the amount of women, the number of women that are continuously in and out of the house. At some point, or at one point last year, at the end of last year, there was up to 3 women staying nights. And then it was like a
So he has a rotation, ma'am. That's called a rotation. It sucks when you realize that you are in a rotation, by the way. When you realize that you're a Tuesday girl and that Wednesday is filled. Okay? that is a rough life. I'm gonna be honest with you. That does suck. But having a rotation of women is not the worst thing in the world. Although I wouldn't probably bring them all around a child. Like, why doesn't he have a key as well? So my theory would be like, shouldn't she have her, well, they're week on, week off. You just gotta, your rotation, bro, has to be week on, week off then. Come on now. Come on now.
Folding door. And the effect that that is having on her worries me. Plus the safety issue of that. I apologize. I have, Mr. Hawkins does have food in his home. He will not cook on his stove. So unless there is something that she can microwave, she will not eat. So that was my concern there. And I have taken food to his house so that she had something to eat, as well as when our daughter had previously been living there before she moved again. I have even gone to food pantries just to make sure that there was, because I don't have way extra to supply two houses. So I would sometimes go to the food pantry and drop stuff off to him. I am worried that her schooling was being affected because of being pulled out of school.
What are you alleging the amount of days a child may have missed?
She did not go November 27th.
No, we love it, Adam.
December 2nd, she did not go. January 9th, she was not in school. On the 8th, she was pulled from school early.
January 8th?
Yes, I apologize.
It's okay.
On January 24th, she was kept home from school as punishment because the prior night, when he returned from work, she was not home. He had messaged me asking if I had her. I said no. We got in contact with her friend who I had seen previously in the day with. We contacted her father to see if he had the girls there. He did not. I had asked Mr. Hawkins to go look for her, go to the park or the school to look for her. He said he would not go look for her. So me and my husband had gotten ready to go to town to go look when he had said that she had shown up. On January 27th, she did not go to school because Mr. Hawkins had been gone all weekend. And he was left with one of his ex-girlfriends. That ex-girlfriend had gone to work that Monday and left her children with E. So she was there watching those children. And I believe that was all of them.
And that's the primary reason for your motion to change custody, correct?
Yes,
And are you talking physical custody?
and legal. But mainly physical, because I worry about her safety when she is there.
Okay.
Because she is alone, or had prior to the last order been alone all the time.
Scott, with your response, please.
I've never punished her and kept her home from school for grounding. Schools have sent her home growing up And I think the prior times of her missing school, I might have still been on first. Because there were days that she just wouldn't go to school. She'd play out sick or I was too tired. But since I've been on second shift, I'm up in the morning getting her up ready for school.
I think they're commenting on
What
her
about
weight
November
because
27th?
she mentioned that she went to the food pantry and she didn't have a lot of money for food. And then somebody might have said, it doesn't look like she is missing many meals. Bonjour, mes amis. Bonjour, bonjour, Hector. Cam clips. Not that we really should, but the reality is when we're looking at the back of people's heads, we comment on what their hair looks like. We comment on what they look like. We're human. But we're not usually like, I mean, sometimes I'm pretty savage, actually. There's been a few. But yeah. Anyways, how are you doing, Hector? Hi, Nigel. Bonjour, bonjour. Comment ça va?
December 2nd, January 9th, January 27th.
I could have still been on first. I would have to go back to see when I was switched on second. I've only been on second for, I think, 2.5 months.
Okay. But those were during your time, so correct?
Could have been.
You had
I
the
don't-
child. Mom, is that your allegation?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I do make her go to school, when she said she was actually sent home last week on my week because she was throwing up at school. I
Did you
still made her
get
go.
a doctor's notice?
They sent her home, so I didn't even take her to the doctors for it.
All right. Court finds that there is a change in circumstance since the entry of the last order. The parties have joint legal, joint physical custody. The court had heard a motion barely when father was not here regarding the absences from school, and that's the reason for the change in circumstance. As a result, the court is going to order a friend of the court investigation relative to custody and parenting time. In the interim, though, the court is going to keep the prior orders in effect. We're still week on, week off. However, the prior orders that the court entered on March 10 absolutely apply in this matter, which means that in the interim, the child is to attend school every day that school is in session unless excused due to illness as evidenced by a doctor's note. We have to have a doctor's note. Either parent, it's your time, child's not in school, we need a doctor's slip. If not, the child needs to be in school. And on an interim basis, the court is continuing the previous order that neither party shall leave the minor child alone without a responsible adult being present. According to Mr. Hochmuth, since he was made aware of the order, the child's been with, sounds like his parents on those times. So that is going to continue. Relative to the allegations that father left the child alone after the court order, clearly the court order was entered. And it appeared the child was left alone. Father wasn't here for the hearing. The notice of the order being sent, I should say service, indicates that that was mailed out March 11, 2025. At this point in time, it's not to happen again while this matter is pending. Neither party can leave that child alone without a responsible adult there, period. So I'll pass on the alleged violation clearly, but it can't happen again while this matter is pending. Do you understand that, sir?
Sure.
Okay. Just do you understand?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz.
As to the friend of the court investigation, is the court ordering both legal and physical?
At this point, according to the motion, it's physical, not legal. So we're staying with physical. Go ahead.
May I make one request?
What's that?
That as long as she is left with a responsible person who is not on the sex offender registry or has had any charges of child endangerment or anything.
Abuse or neglect?
Yes.
Any objection to that, sir?
No, sir.
Only makes sense. What? That'll be in the interim order as well. You have any questions?
I got one thing to say. So,
Is that a question?
well, the one thing I got upset about her locking my doors is there was no communication. So when I come home at 11 o'clock, I'd be locked out of my house. I'd have to bang on my daughter's window, wake her up, just so I could get in my house.
You have a key? Get in.
I got a key, but when she's home, you know, I leave my keys for her in case she wants to go uptown. If she locks the door, if the door gets locked, keys are there. But
Keys
no.
aren't very expensive.
Yeah, I know, sir, but
I mean,
I'm just saying,
it's not
like,
that difficult to go to one of the local
there's-
stores here and just get an extra key made.
Oh.
I mean, it's just common sense.
but communication goes a long way too. And
Well,
she
and
could've
that
said-
leads me to another point, because I was reading the messages going back and forth. It doesn't look like that's accurate. It looks like text messages, unless.
No, we haven't gone through Apple's in probably quite a few years.
I believe applicants was previously ordered, Your Honor, but either party has brought it to the front of the court as an issue.
Okay,
No, we've gotten along for quite a few years. She's just upset that I'm on second shift and Emily's home alone. But I've never left her overnight. I lied to my ex just so I could keep my little ones longer, saying that I was,
well, be careful in the courtroom, sir.
well,
I mean, the exes could be listening. All I can tell you, if you're being able to communicate, I'm not gonna change it. Just communicate with each other, that's all. If there are any issues, share them with each other, and if we have to go back that close, we will, but it sounds like you're communicating. That'll be all. Thank you. Off for-
Then YouTube Daddy was like, you know what, Pays? I gave you 2 hearings in a row. I know you're sleeping. Let me play this for 1 second, just so you hear it. Blast me awake. Thank you, YouTube Daddy. I so appreciate that. Seriously, I don't get it. Anyways, you guys, I appreciate you being here today. We have one more show later. I thought, did I imagine Mikey and Creed talking about doing an After Dark show today? Did I imagine that? Maybe I imagined that. I don't know. Anyways, they said that. Yeah, right, Adam? I thought they did. Anyways, so I'm really going to try not to tread on that, but I guess dark. When's it dark on the East Coast? When's it dark on the East Coast, bros? Can somebody tell me that? Creed said sometime between 7 and 8. That's 4 and 5. Like midnight. Well, thanks, Adam. That's probably it probably is dark. And I fucking like your attitude. That's like when somebody asked me the difference between a 3-month and a 6-month thing, and I'm like, oh, about 3 months. And they look at me like, you're a fucking dick. Anyways. Okay, so then I'm going to aim for 3 o'clock my time, which is 6 o'clock your time, East Coast time. So I will post it up right away. We're going to eat this orange together. That's right. We're going to eat this expensive orange, baby. I'm going to describe it to you. Oh my gosh. It is going to be so right offable. Oh, we're going to... Jesus fucking Christ. I just fucking threw it. And it landed on the mouse. I'm so glad it didn't end the show. Woo! Oh, so good. If you want to get an orange and eat it with me tonight in about an hour and a half, you can do that too. Challenge if you want to find yourself a sumo orange. Good luck. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. Keep an eye out for the members only. It'll be members only. Like, I probably forget to turn on members only right away, so just keep that in mind. Anyways, do me a favor, remember that I love you and I'm proud of you, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye!
down and ready.